So, the mysterious person claims to work for the Ministry of Civil Affairs. That would be the Valley Orchid, Yelan. So, let's learn about her and find out who she really is. Yelan is a playable hydro character in Genshin Impact. She is a mysterious person who claims to work for the Ministry of Civil Affairs, but comes out as a non-entity on their list. She also claims to work for the Yanshan Tea House, but only uses it for her true job, an intelligent agent contributing with Ningguang. Yelan is a female character in Genshin Impact. Her weapon is a bow, and her vision is Hydro. Her birthday is April 20th. Oh hey, that's my dad's birthday. But anyhow, her constellation is Umbravius Orcus. Her nation is Leeway. She also has two affiliations, those with Yanshan Tea House, which is on her profile, and Ministry of Civil Affairs. Her special dish is dew-dipped shrimp, a variant of stir-fry shrimp. Yelan became a playable character on May 31st, 2022. The four voice actors of the mysterious worker of civil affairs in the four locations of Genshin Impact are Laura Post in English, Zhu Wei in Chinese, Endo Aya in Japanese, and Mina in Korean. Yelan goes by two titles, Valley Orchid and a mysterious person who claims to work for the Ministry of Civil Affairs. Yelan is a tall woman with dark blue hair and asymmetrical bangs that are lighter at the tips and light emerald green eyes. Yelan also sports a pair of white-blued tipped earrings resembling teardrops. Yelan's attire consists of a dark bodysuit embezzled with silver details and a blue overcoat. Her attire is decorated with a number of trinkets and accessories, including with bracelets that are white on her arms and a number of chokers and necklaces around her neck, from which a charm resembling a die, as in a dice, hangs. In addition to this, Yelan keeps a furred white coat hanging from the back of her outfit, somewhat resembling a cape, and then sports a pair of thigh-high boots that leave a part of her thigh exposed, where her hydro vision is attached. Yelan is said to be quite secretive and mysterious. While claiming to work for the Ministry of Affairs, she's frequently absent from work most of this year. Despite this, Ningguang tolerates her general absence while Kuching appreciates her work, although the ledger wonders as to where she gets her intelligence from. She employs physiological tactics to catch her targets and get all the information she needs from them. Outside of work, Yelan approaches life at a charm and carefree place. She frequently enjoys napping whenever possible, but will adjust her schedule as needed for the day's task. When handling particularly troublesome cases, she tries to save up her energy to complete everything in a single go. In the presence of others, she is said to be very pleasant and polite. When alone, she's said to show a far different side of her as an extremely reliable, powerful, intelligent woman. She also has a high tolerance for spice, eating raw and dry Junyuan chilies after deeming Xiangling's special dish not enough for her. She dislikes sweets, claiming that they'll go too easy to get addicted to and disrupts focus. Stealthy Bowshot is Yelan's normal attack. The normal attack performs up to 4 constructed shots with a bow, while the charge attack performs a more precise aim shot that increases damage. While aiming, flowing water will accumulate on the arrowhead, A fully charged torrential arrow will deal hydro damage. When Yelan will enter the breakthrough state after spending 5 seconds out of combat, which will cause her charge attack hit aim shot to have 80% decreased charge time. And once charged, she can fire a breakthrough barb that will deal AoE hydro damage based on Yelan's max HP. And the plummeting attack fires a shower of arrows in mid-air before falling and striking the ground, dealing AoE damage upon impact. Lingering Lifeline is Yelan's elemental skill. It fires off a lifeline that allows her to move rapidly, entangling and marking opponents along the path. When this rapid movement ends, the lifeline will explode, dealing hydro damage to the marked opponents based on Yelan's max HP. Using tap moves a certain distance towards swiftly, and hold engages in continuous swift movement, during which Yelan's resistance to interruption is increased. During this time, Yelan can control the rapid movement and end it by using the skill again. Additionally, each opponent marked by the lifeline will, when it explodes, gains Yelan a 34% chance to reset her breakthrough state. Death Clarion Dice is Yelan's elemental burst. It deals AoE hydro damage and creates the exquisite throw, which adds her into battle. With exquisite throw, it follows the character around and will intent a contributed attack under the following circumstances, dealing hydro damage based on Yelan's max HP. It can occur once every second when your active character uses a normal attack, and will occur each time Yelan's lifeline explodes and hits opponents. Turn Control is Yelan's first attempt in passive skill. When the party has 1, 2, 3, 4 elemental types, Yelan's max HP is increased by 6%, 12%, 18%, and 30%. Adapt with Ease is Yelan's fourth Ascension passive skill. So long as an exquisite throw is in the play, your own active character deals 1% more damage. This increases by a further of 3.5% damage every single second. The maximum increase to damage deals is 50%. The pre-existing effect will be dispelled if Death Clarion Dice is recast during its duration. Necessary Calculation is Yelan's utility passive skill. It gains 25% more reward than Yelan is when Yelan is dispatched on the Leeway expedition for 20 hours. Leeway is a port that prices contracts and trade, and it is a place where wealth accumulates. Merchants from various nations are active here, which has contributed to Leeway's abundance, but has also brought up many disagreements. The Taekwon Ningguang has written a very comprehensive compendium of laws to deal with this, but not everyone has a patience to study them. Thus was born the law of the legal advisor in Leeway society. Highly familiar with Leeway's laws, they help those in need to navigate any constructions, earning recompense for their efforts. Yanfei is a primer legal advisor in Leeway. She always is able to obtain the most benefit for her clients, insofar as the law will allow it. Some even call her the laws that walk. But in truth, what Yanfei, one of the few half-illuminated beasts who have yet to sign a contract with Flex Lapis, really wants to do is to live a free and happy life. As for a copy of General Law of Leeway that she carries around on her person, Yanfei has this to say. If you don't wish to be bound by the rules, you have to first understand them all. As the most sought-out-after legal advisor in Leeway, Yanfei rates are also top of the line. Even so, she never lacks for people coming to seek appointments. After all, merchants are not the stringy about mediation fees, but are also very picky indeed about the mediator. Money is no object. We must have Yanfei come and settle this matter before us. Many rate Yanfei in this fashion, not only for her quick thinking or her masterful authority, but also because she's very grateful, emphasizes the counterstone of the law, fairness. Her mediations often end in win-win situations, and even merchants with daggers draw or will temporarily set their prejudice aside. Though she is unbound by a contract, Yanfei has made her own contribution to the peace and prosperity of Liyue. As a legal advisor, Yanfei does not have a fair share of weaknesses. An example of the mediation of civil disputes that involved emotions and relationships, divorces, inheritance, custody disputes, senior care, severances, the list continues. It is said that upright officials are hapless in the household affairs. And so it is also with Yanfei, who grew up surrounded by love. These matters fall right into her blind corner. Sometimes she will find that both sides have reasons of their own, and the other time she will find them to be both unreasonable. Child custody disputes are the absolute worst, as no matter how she settles them, the settlement will have a great physiological impact on the innocent children. Even if Yanfei chooses to soldier on, she will only tire herself out. Hopefully everyone can meet the right person and to be spread this particular grief. As a result of her greatly intolerant nature, Yanfei has a wide variety of personal relationships throughout Liyue. There is no need to worry about rubbing a sore spot, and you'll be able to get along with her whether you are an avid conversationalist or not. Of course, this is true as long as you don't attempt to dispute with her or start a conversation about a legal profession. Yanfei in work mode is a completely different beast to deal with. Additionally, Yanfei has cultivated the habit of being overly vigorous from her long years of studying the law. When chatting, Yanfei will vigorously eliminate any ambiguity or loopholes present in the discourse, and can seem like a bit of a chatterbox. When she realizes this, Yanfei is sure to knock herself on the head with a book in irritation. However, so long she constantly bathes in the sea of legal literature. This habit will probably be quite hard to break. When investigating the law, Yanfei's habit is to look past the cold letters of the law to perceive their point of origin. As such, she is also something of a master of reading comprehension in her relationships. Once the traveler met Yanfei by chance and said, didn't expect to see you here. This should have been a line that one might hear just about anywhere, but it wound up holding a completely different meaning for Yanfei. Didn't expect to meet you here implied that the traveler had at least thought about a scenario in which they would meet. Then why the use of didn't expect? One could only pursue that the traveler had some explanation of where she might appear, and that her current location was not such a place, but whence came the expectation? Could it be that the traveler had always been paying attention to her in secret? Does this mean that the traveler, Yanfei tossed and turned in bed that night, unable to sleep? Yanfei's most prized possession is the steel yard balance that her father gave her. It is said that the balance was a treasure given by Rex Lapis that can be used to measure the value of all things. For convenience, Yanfei tends to use Mora to balance the skills, which is to say that she uses Mora to evaluate objects. The pieces of many objects have slowly changed over the years, but weighting an object with the balance only gives its value at the time Mora was created, leaving the rest of Yanfei to exercise her own wisdom and judgment. Across the measurements of countless objects, Yanfei is able to see the changes in leeway. Some objects that were once common have become vanishingly rare, and some exotic objects of the past have been rendered pedestrian today. This steelyard balance reminds her that many things can't be valued by the standards of the world. Yanfei once tried to weigh the value of a vision, but no matter how much more she added, the scales would never be balanced. In frustration, she placed it on the scale as a box of her waist, which contracted for heavy handwritten legal notations only did the weights had at least even out. Throughout Yelan's intelligent career so far, there has been one memorable operation that fuses both failure and success together. One could say that it is a failure because she lost a family heirloom named the Fascinating Bracelet during this operation. Inside of the jade bracelet is engraved with a spell passed through her line that turns the heirloom into a simple communication device. However, the spell requires a pair of such vessels to work, not that only one bracelet is left. It is not more than a mere accessory. However, the option also proved a success for Yelan because her enemy did not get the upper hand either, and this enemy of hers was no ordinary character. It was none other than Wiki, ninth of the Fatui Harbingers. Yelan infiltrated a secret trade route that was run by Wiki behind the scenes, inspecting the goods and picking the most precious one of them, a conception of her bracelet. Now that there once existed a strange mystical beast in the times of old, a robe made from its fur would be worth a fortune, and due to this rarity, such a robe is extraordinarily hard to produce. In fact, the beast is so powerful that although it died centuries ago, its body remains intact today, and its fur still emits a mysterious fragrance. Wiki had intended it as an offer to the Teresa, yet Yelan unexpectedly intercepted it. Not only that, she also rejected the style of Shazanaya's and had chosen for their Teresa. She yanked the fur off, contributed to Lilei's rummy yarn, and made a rather fashionable sleeve mantle for herself. The series of happenings could be seen as a significant and insignificant depending on one's perspective. Ultimately, it is all boiled down to 3 words: gains and losses. The cycle of gaining and losing is a rather accurate summary of Yelan's life. None of that really bothers her, though. Instead, she takes immense pleasure from it. Yelan wasn't always on her own. Many years ago, she once had a team who watched each other's backs. There was a small group of people who, for various reasons, chose to tread a path in the dark with her. But back then, Yelan had not realized that her clever tricks and insidious traps, the skills that she took pride in, could not solve everything for her. Enemies with strong sense of self-control would not bait the bite. Opponents with cunning and calculating minds would not fall for her schemes, and those with overwhelming power would simply strong-arm their way out of the traps. Therefore, Yelan and her team paid the price. One by one, they perished along the way. Though they had long foreseen and prepared themselves for such a fate, still a mission to investigate the abyss, Yelan eventually found herself left alone. For the first time in her life, she stopped it for a long time. This state of affairs pursued until one day when Ningguang visited her in the woods hut. Personally, "You haven't been back in Liyue Harbor for a while. Something must have happened. I can't understand if you want to quit." Ningguang stood outside the door with a serious look on her face, but her voice was still casual and relaxed. "But it's all right. I work with those I trust, and I trust those I work with. I am willing to believe you that you're here trying to find a way out. All purposes, aggressive or defensive, are all means to the end anyway." There are no response, but only a suffocating silence. A long time passed before Ningguang finally heard an answer from her behind. "We've both made a mistake. We shouldn't have involved ordinary folk in what we do." Ordinary folk. Even as Ningguang was formulating thoughts, a flash of blue shot towards her, stopping her as it passed her by. In a display of great control from the archer, the arrow quickly shattered into pearls of water and broke into glistering shards of light before touching the ground. Ningguang turned around and saw Yelan walking up, a bow in her hand, blood dripping down from her fingertips. One could only imagine the days and nights of grueling training in archery Yelan had gone through for all her fingers to bleed. Knowing Yelan well, Ningguang also understood that she must have been through an uncommonly tough situation. Only that could explain Yelan's uncommon determination to lock herself up for the grueling retraining. Yelan aimed at the mountain in the distance, a gesture that was also an answering to Ningguang. She released the arrowhead like lightning. It shot into the skies, piercing through the clouds with might that could shatter the dome of heaven itself. As if responding to the call of an unknown power, waters in the mountains glowed and howled, then swirled their way up in the form of countless arrows. When they met halfway in the sky, they exploded into a curtain of water, bringing down a squalling shower like those that sound summer nights. As the skies cleared, there was no rainbow, no butterflies to be seen, only a faint pillar of light that fell into Yelan's palm. According to Ningguang, the vision carries a message. From today onward, leave all matters to the extraordinary Yelan. Yelan's name means night orchid, and the Chinese name of her constellation, Yokutsuo, literally means the shadowy guest constellation. The character Yu can also be alternately translated as remote, concealed, and tranquil. In Imperial China was another term for the hermit scholars called Yanqi. This may also be a reference to the Chinese literary works of Shishi Kanyun, the collection saying of the Western Creek, written by the Shan Dynasty scholar Yao Quan, which has a section describing 30 flowers as 30 types of guest. In it, orchids are called shadowy guest. Yelan's Chinese title, Lan Shen Yugu, means orchid grows in the dark ravine. It is derived from the idiom, orchids growing in the dark ravine will not cease their fragrance from a lack of people. And that is Yelan. Next time we'll talk about Stage Lucida, Yujin. So see you next time.